Welcome back to my channel Pocket Change Coins. If you're into finding hidden gems in your spare change, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in the world of numismatics, the 1966 Lincoln penny. At first glance, this might seem like just another penny from the 1960s, but there's far more to this little coin than meets the eye. You see, the 1966 Lincoln penny has some unique characteristics that make it rare and potentially worth a small fortune. By the end of this video, you'll have a whole new appreciation for this seemingly humble penny. Now, let's rewind to the year 1966. It was a time of great change in America, politically, socially, and economically. The country was in the middle of the post-World War II boom, and things were shifting rapidly. As for the 1966 Lincoln penny, it was minted during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing millions of pennies to meet the needs of a growing economy. While most of these pennies were used in everyday transactions and circulated widely, not all of them are created equal. Some, in fact, are far more valuable than their face value would suggest. So, what makes the 1966 Lincoln penny stand out? The most important factor is rarity. While the U.S. Mint produced a large number of pennies in 1966, it wasn't until much later that collectors began to realize that some of them had special characteristics that set them apart from the rest. The key to understanding the value of this penny lies in the coin's condition and any potential minting errors it might possess. First, let's talk about the condition. Like any coin, a penny's value can be dramatically affected by its condition. A well-worn, heavily circulated penny is generally not worth more than its face value. However, if you come across a 1966 Lincoln penny that is in uncirculated or near mint condition, that's where the real value lies. These pennies, especially those with minimal wear and well-defined details, are far rarer than you might think. So, if you have a 1966 penny that looks almost brand new, you're already off to a great start, but it doesn't stop there. In the world of coin collecting, mint errors are a big deal. These errors occur during the minting process, and they can make an otherwise common coin incredibly valuable. The 1966 Lincoln penny is no exception to this. There are a couple of minting errors that can make this penny much more valuable. One of the most notable errors is the double die variety. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the design to be duplicated. For a 1966 Lincoln penny, this means you might see doubling in the date or the lettering, which gives the coin a distinctive appearance. Coins with this error are highly sought after by collectors because they are rare and unique. If you happen to find a 1966 penny with a double die error, you could be holding onto a real treasure. Another potential error that could increase the value of your 1966 Lincoln penny is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is struck incorrectly, causing the design to appear off-center. Off-center coins are one of a kind, making them a valuable find for any collector. The more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. If you have a 1966 penny with an off-center strike, it could be worth significantly more than the typical penny you find in your change. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part, the value of a 1966 Lincoln penny with these rare features. While most 1966 pennies are worth only 1 cent, those with minting errors or those in excellent condition can command much higher prices. A 1966 Lincoln penny in pristine, uncirculated condition could already be worth quite a bit, but if it has a minting error like a double die or off-center strike, its value could skyrocket. Some of these rare 1966 pennies have been known to fetch prices as high as $54,000, yes, you heard that right, $54,000 for a single penny. That's the power of coin collecting. Finding the right error or discovering a coin in exceptional condition can turn what seems like an ordinary piece of currency into a true collector's item worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, what should you do if you think you found a valuable 1966 Lincoln penny? First, examine the coin closely. Check for any signs of wear or damage, as a well-preserved coin is key to its value. Then, take a look at the design for any possible minting errors. Is the date doubled? Does the image look off-center? If so, you may have stumbled upon a rare and valuable penny. In conclusion, the 1966 Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how rarity, condition, and minting errors can turn a simple coin into a collector's dream. Whether it's in mint condition or features a rare error, this penny could be worth far more than its face value. So, keep your eyes peeled for this little gem, because you could be holding onto a penny worth $54,000. Today, we have a very special coin on our hands, a coin that might just be hiding in your spare change or tucked away in an old coin jar. I'm talking about the 1983 Lincoln penny. Now, at first glance, this might seem like just another ordinary penny, but there's much more to this little coin than meets the eye. In fact, it could be worth a lot more than its 1-cent value if you know what to look for. Stick with me as we dive into the rare world of the 1983 Lincoln penny and uncover its hidden value. Let's take a quick trip back in time to 1983. The country was in the midst of economic recovery, and the U.S. Mint was busy pumping out billions of coins to keep up with the needs of a growing economy. The 1983 Lincoln penny was part of this production, and, just like every year, millions of them were minted. But here's the thing, most of these pennies, like many other coins, were used in everyday transactions, and they're not worth much today. However, the story gets much more exciting when we start talking about the rarer versions of this coin. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1983 Lincoln penny so special? The answer lies in the minting process and the subtle errors that can make certain coins far more valuable than others. Let's take a closer look at what makes the 1983 penny stand out and why collectors are so eager to get their hands on one in particular. One of the most significant factors that make a 1983 Lincoln penny rare is its composition. In 1982, the U.S. Mint made a dramatic change to the penny's composition. Up until that point, pennies had been made mostly of copper, but in 1982, the Mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition to save costs. The transition wasn't flawless, and a small number of pennies from the 1983 mintage were made with the old copper composition instead of the new zinc one. These copper pennies are the ones that collectors are hunting for, and they are incredibly rare. If you happen to come across a 1983 penny that's made of solid copper, you might just have a goldmine on your hands. These pennies, which were struck with the old copper planchet but intended to be zinc, are worth much more than their 1-cent face value. Why? Because they are the result of a minting mistake that was never meant to happen. A coin that is the result of such an error is always valuable to collectors. And let me tell you, finding one of these pennies is like stumbling upon a hidden treasure. But that's not the only factor that can make a 1983 Lincoln penny worth a lot of money. Another key aspect is the condition of the coin. Just like with any collectible item, the better the condition, the higher the value. A 1983 penny that's been carefully preserved or remains uncirculated could easily fetch a premium price. Coins that are well preserved or in mint condition are highly sought after by collectors because they are hard to find. Most pennies have been in circulation for decades and have suffered from wear and tear, so if you have one that still looks fresh, you've got yourself something special. In addition to the copper variety and uncirculated condition, mint errors are a big deal when it comes to coin collecting. Minting errors occur during the production process, and they can make an otherwise ordinary coin much more valuable. For the 1983 Lincoln penny, there are a few errors that have caught the attention of collectors. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die variety. This happens when the die used to strike the coin malfunctions and creates a doubling effect on the lettering and the date. If you've ever seen a 1983 penny with a double die, you've seen something that's truly unique and truly valuable. Another potential error that could increase the value of a 1983 penny is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the press during the minting process, causing the design to appear off-center. Off-center coins are very rare, and the more misaligned the design, the higher the value. So, if you have a 1983 penny with an off-center strike, you're holding onto something that could bring in serious cash. Now, let's get to the most exciting part. How much can a 1983 Lincoln penny actually be worth? Well, if you happen to find one of these rare copper pennies, or if you have a penny in uncirculated condition with a mint error, you could be looking at a coin worth a small fortune. Some of these rare 1983 pennies have been known to sell for as much as $44,000, yes, that's right, $44,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that something as small as a penny could carry such a high price tag, but in the world of coin collecting, rare and unique coins are worth their weight in gold. The combination of rarity, errors, and excellent condition make the 1983 Lincoln penny a highly desirable find for collectors, and it could end up being worth far more than you ever imagined. So, how can you spot a valuable 1983 penny? First, check the composition. If you find one that's made of solid copper instead of zinc, you could have a rare piece of history on your hands. Then, look for any signs of minting errors, like double die or off-center strikes. And, of course, the condition is key. If your penny looks like it just came out of the mint, then it could be worth a lot more than its face value. In conclusion, the 1983 Lincoln penny may seem like just another penny in your pocket, but it has the potential to be worth far more than its 1-cent value. Whether it's a rare copper composition, a minting error, or simply a coin in pristine condition, this penny could be your ticket to a valuable collection. So, the next time you come across a 1983 penny, take a closer look. You might just be holding onto something worth $44,000. Today, we're diving into a coin that may look like just another regular penny to most, but to the trained eye, it could be the key to unlocking a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1980 Lincoln penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? Well, hold on, because this particular penny has some hidden qualities that can make it worth a whole lot more than you think. Stick around, and you'll learn why the 1980 Lincoln penny is a must-have for any serious coin collector. Let's rewind to 1980. The world was going through a major economic shift, and the U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of pennies to meet the growing demands of the economy. The penny, which featured the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was produced in massive quantities and was widely circulated. But what most people didn't know at the time was that within this sea of pennies, there were some rare and unique variations that would later make certain 1980 Lincoln pennies highly desirable to collectors. First off, let's talk about the most important factor that could make your 1980 Lincoln penny worth thousands of dollars. Mint errors. Yes, those small mistakes that happen during the minting process can turn an otherwise common coin into a collector's dream. For the 1980 penny, there are two main types of errors that could be hiding in plain sight: the double die and off-center strikes. Let's start with the double die variety. This is one of the most sought-after errors in coin collecting. A double die occurs when the coin's design is struck twice by the die, resulting in a faint but noticeable doubling of the letters and numbers on the coin. For the 1980 Lincoln penny, if you find one with doubled lettering or even a doubled date, then congratulations. You found an extremely rare penny that collectors will pay top dollar for. These double die pennies are far less common than regular pennies and can fetch an impressive price depending on the extent of the doubling. So, if you've got a 1980 penny that looks like it's got a little extra bling on the lettering, take a closer look. It could be worth far more than its 1-cent face value. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, causing the design to be struck off-center. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. Imagine holding a penny with a portion of the design missing or slightly skewed. Not only is this coin unique, but it's also incredibly rare. Off-center strikes are highly prized by collectors because of their distinctiveness and the fact that they show the imperfections that happen during the minting process. Now, let's talk about the overall condition of the 1980 Lincoln penny. The better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that have been preserved in excellent condition, free from damage or wear, are always worth more than those that have been circulated heavily. So, if you've come across a 1980 penny that looks almost like it just came out of the mint, you're holding onto a valuable piece of history. Uncirculated pennies are much rarer than those that have been in circulation for years, and collectors love to add these pristine coins to their collections. A shiny, uncirculated 1980 Lincoln penny in excellent condition could be worth more than you ever imagined, but, of course, it's not just the errors and condition that make the 1980 Lincoln penny worth money. The demand for certain years and types of coins can also drive up the price. As we all know, the world of coin collecting is driven by scarcity, and the rarer a coin is, the more valuable it becomes. The 1980 penny, especially those with errors or those in perfect condition, falls into that category. It's a coin that has caught the attention of collectors over the years, and it's one that continues to rise in value as time passes. So, here's the big question: how much could a 1980 Lincoln penny be worth? Well, if you happen to stumble upon one of these rare pennies in pristine condition, or if you find one with a minting error like the double die or an off-center strike, then you could be looking at a coin worth a significant amount of money. Some of these rare 1980 pennies have been known to fetch a whopping $40,000, yes, that's right, $40,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that a small coin like the 1980 Lincoln penny could be worth such a hefty price, but in the world of coin collecting, rarity and condition are everything. A well-preserved 1980 penny with a minting error is a rare gem, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar to add it to their collections. Now, if you're wondering how to spot a valuable 1980 Lincoln penny, it's all about examining the details. Look for any signs of doubling or off-center strikes, and pay close attention to the condition of the coin. If you find a penny that looks like it's been untouched by time, you could be in for a big surprise. In conclusion, the 1980 Lincoln penny is more than just a simple coin. It's a piece of history with the potential to be worth thousands of dollars. Whether it's a rare double die, an off-center strike, or just a coin in mint condition, this penny could be your ticket to a valuable collection. So, the next time you come across a 1980 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, it could be worth $40,000. Today, we're shining the spotlight on a coin that's often overlooked by many but could actually be worth far more than you think. I'm talking about the 1972 Lincoln penny, a coin that might look like just another penny at first glance, but has the potential to be worth thousands of dollars. Now, most people know that pennies are one of the most common coins in circulation. The 1972 Lincoln penny, for instance, was produced in huge quantities. But as any seasoned collector will tell you, sometimes it's the coins that were mass-produced that turn out to be the most valuable. In the case of the 1972 Lincoln penny, there's a unique combination of factors that make certain examples incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. So, why is the 1972 Lincoln penny special? Well, let's start with the history. The 1970s were a time of transition for the United States, and this coin reflects a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage. During this era, the U.S. Mint was still using traditional designs, but little did anyone know that some of those pennies produced in 1972 would eventually become some of the most prized possessions in the numismatic world. While the standard 1972 penny may seem like just another coin from the era, it's the rarities and errors that make this one stand out. The first thing that makes the 1972 Lincoln penny so interesting is the variety of minting errors that were produced during that year. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1972 penny is the double die variety. Double die pennies are a collector's dream, and they occur when the coin is struck more than once by the die during the minting process. This causes the design elements, like the date or lettering, to appear doubled. For the 1972 penny, these double die varieties can be found with noticeable doubling, especially on the date. It's a small, but significant flaw that has a huge impact on the coin's value. Collectors often seek out these errors because they make the coin unique, adding an extra layer of rarity and desirability. If you've ever come across a 1972 penny and noticed some strange doubling on the date or on the words, Liberty or, In God We Trust, then you could very well be holding onto a double die error. And trust me, this is no ordinary find. A 1972 Lincoln penny with a double die is far more valuable than one that was struck without any errors. In fact, certain double-die 1972 pennies can command jaw-dropping prices, as collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. But it's not just the double-die varieties that make the 1972 penny so special. There's another rarity that collectors often look for: the off-center strikes. When a coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, it can lead to an off-center strike, where the design appears to be shifted to one side of the coin. The further off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1972 penny with a significant off-center strike can be an incredibly rare find, and collectors will pay handsomely for these one-of-a-kind pieces. Additionally, the 1972 Lincoln penny can sometimes exhibit die cracks or battered dies, which cause imperfections on the coin's surface. These are less common than the double die or off-center strikes, but they still hold value for collectors who appreciate the history behind each coin's unique characteristics. Now, let's talk about condition, because this is another key factor when determining the value of a 1972 Lincoln penny. Like most coins, the condition of the penny plays a huge role in its overall worth. Coins that have been well preserved, with little to no signs of wear or damage, are far more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. So, if you come across a 1972 penny that looks like it's just been pulled out of a time capsule, chances are it could be worth a lot more than you think. Coins in excellent condition are much rarer than those that have been in circulation for decades, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. Now, the big question: how much can a 1972 Lincoln penny actually be worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to have a 1972 penny with a minting error like a double die or an off-center strike, you could be looking at a significant payout. A well-preserved, rare 1972 Lincoln penny can be worth as much as $46,000, yes, that's right, $46,000 for a single penny. It might seem hard to believe, but it's the reality of the coin collecting world. A rare 1972 penny with the right error or in pristine condition can fetch an impressive price at auction or from collectors who are always on the lookout for that next great find. So, the next time you're digging through your coin jar or checking your spare change, keep an eye out for that 1972 Lincoln penny. If you spot any doubling, off-center strikes, or just a well-preserved specimen, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. In conclusion, the 1972 Lincoln penny is much more than just a regular coin. Thanks to its unique minting errors, its history, and the increasing demand from collectors, this penny has become one of the most valuable coins out there. So, before you toss that penny aside, take a second to examine it, because you could be holding onto a piece of numismatic history worth $46,000. Today we've got a fascinating episode lined up for all you collectors and history lovers. If you've ever wondered how a seemingly ordinary coin can turn into a small fortune, you're in for a treat. Let's talk about the 1978 Lincoln penny, a coin that might just be hiding in plain sight. You may think of it as just another penny, but don't be fooled, this one has a secret. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual collector, today's video will have you rethinking your coin collection. The 1978 Lincoln penny was minted in huge numbers, as pennies are an everyday coin used in transactions. But what makes this penny particularly interesting is the rarity factor, the errors, and, of course, the significant value that certain versions of this coin can carry. Now, you might be asking, what makes this penny so special? Well, first off, let's look at the coin's design. The 1978 penny features the well-known Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. But as with many coins, it's not just about the design. What truly makes certain versions of the 1978 Lincoln penny valuable are the minting errors and unique characteristics that happened during the production process. And when it comes to this penny, there are some truly rare and valuable pieces out there that collectors will pay a premium for. Let's start with the double die variety, an error that has collectors drooling. The double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, resulting in a design that's doubled in certain parts, such as the lettering or the date. The 1978 penny is no exception. When you look at a double die penny, you might notice the words like Liberty or In God We Trust appearing blurry or doubled. And the most obvious sign? The date, 1978, itself is often clearly doubled, which is a dead giveaway that this penny is one to watch out for. The more noticeable the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. Another reason why this penny might stand out is because of off-center strikes. When a coin is struck in the press and isn't aligned properly, you get an off-center strike, essentially a coin that's not completely centered during production. The result is a partial image on the coin, and in some cases, the design might be dramatically shifted to one side. Off-center strike coins are always sought after by collectors because they are rare, and in some cases, they can be worth much more than a coin struck properly. There are also cases of die cracks, which can occur when the die used to stamp the coin begins to break or crack. These cracks can sometimes appear on the design, especially along the edges, giving the coin an aged and unique look. While die cracks aren't always the most dramatic error, they still add a level of interest and rarity to a coin that might otherwise be overlooked. Now, we know that rarity is a huge factor when determining the value of a coin. But it's not just about the errors. The condition of the coin matters too. A 1978 penny that's been well preserved, free of scratches, dings, or wear, will fetch a much higher price than one that's been in circulation for decades. Coins that remain in mint state or uncirculated condition are much rarer than those that have been heavily used. So, if you happen to have a pristine 1978 penny sitting in your collection, or even just in your loose change jar, it could be worth a lot more than you think. So, now we get to the exciting part. How much can a 1978 Lincoln penny actually be worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to have a coin with a minting error, like a double die or off-center strike, and it's in great condition, you could see a value that far exceeds the typical market price for pennies. It's not unusual for collectors to pay premium prices for these rare errors. A well-preserved, error-free example of the 1978 penny might only be worth a few dollars, but an error-filled 1978 Lincoln penny can fetch upwards of $44,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $44,000 for a single penny. It might sound unbelievable, but it's true. If you're holding on to a 1978 Lincoln penny with the right error or it's in exceptional condition, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars to the right buyer. So, before you toss your pennies into a jar or even worse, your trash bin, take a closer look at them. The 1978 Lincoln penny could be hiding a little treasure, and you wouldn't want to miss out on a potential fortune. Check for the subtle doubling, any off-center strikes, or unique die cracks. You might just find a rare gem that could change your collecting game forever. In conclusion, the 1978 Lincoln penny is a fantastic example of how something as simple as a penny can hold incredible value. With its rare errors, like the double die and off-center strikes, as well as its potential for being in pristine condition, this coin is definitely one to keep an eye on. So next time you're checking your change, be sure to look closely. You could be holding onto a coin worth $44,000. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an exciting episode. Keep on collecting, and good luck on your treasure hunt.